Hi guys, I hope everyone is well. Today's video is a little bit different to the ones that I've been posting more recently. This video is around the Ghislaine Maxwell case. So those of you who don't know me, I am obsessed with anything to do with true crime, court cases, anything like that. I get really obsessed with. I end up researching them and I like to know the facts. Something that I have found really helpful when I go down these kind of little rabbit holes of research is YouTube videos that basically narrate and give kind of, all of the information as per the document. So I thought I would do one of those. I don't know if that's what people want or like, I don't know, but I was going to read it anyway. And I thought, why not? So it's a huge document. It's I'm just scrolling it so that I can actually add that to the video as well, so that you can physically see the document as I'm reading it. It's 465 pages long, so I'm going to be breaking this up into probably about 3 or 4 videos. So yeah, I'm going to be reading it completely word for word as it is from its public records now. It was decided at the beginning of this week that it should be released to the public, and it's the deposition from 2016, Ghislaine Maxwell. Throughout, obviously I'm going to read it, word for word. However, apologies if I do misspell or mispronounce names. That's obviously not my intention. Sometimes I refer to people by their initials, but obviously you can follow along. As I say, I am kind of recording it so that you can actually see the actual the actual document for yourself as well. Again, this is about factual information that is out there for the public currently. I'm not going to be commenting on whether I think she is guilty or not guilty. This really is just about the facts and the documents that are out there that are made accessible to the public. So yeah, I will get on with it. So the start of the document, Exhibit 6. The first page details about the court case, who it includes, who it's for and against, etc. I will refer to the names as their initials, just as I said at the beginning, just so you know. I'm not going to be saying their full names each time, just because I want to try and keep up. So a little bit about who is videotaped, another address. Page 2 is all about the appearances, so who is actually there, the address of where they are, by the looks of it, or actually the address of where the attorneys, each of the attorneys and the defendants are from. And then obviously the videographer as well. So this is just saying that the videographer is going to be recording disc number 1, the deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell in the matter of Virginia. It says the address, the date, April the 22nd, 2016, and the names of all the then goes on to detail Ghislaine Maxwell, who is called as a witness, having been duly sworn by a notary public. So Miss Macaulay actually opens up, good morning. She's going to explain some of the rules. Have you ever been deposed before? I have not. So it's just saying about the fact that it's going to be videoed and that they need to give clear responses. The fact that you can't give non-verbal response. So in other words, nodding a yes or a no, they need to hear verbal responses so that they can record it on their transcript. So she just reminds her of the importance of that. Is there anything that would prevent you from giving truthful testimony today? There is not. You are not on any medications or anything that would inhibit your ability to remember or give truthful testimony. I am not. Mr. P, could you identify the assistant in the room? Ms. M, this is Emma Rosen from our New York office. She is our paralegal. Ms. Maxwell, can you please state your address for the record? Currently, blank. What is your date of birth? Blank. When did you first recruit a female to work for Mr. Epstein? Mr. P, I object to the form and foundation of the question. I believe this is confidential information. I ask anyone who is not admitted in this case be excused from the room, please. Ms. M, so the response to that question would, Mr. P, the subject matter of this question is confidential and I'm designating it as confidential. Ms. M, I just want to make that clear for the record. Mr. Edwards, so we don't delay the deposition, I will step out of the room, but I think it's important to lay the record that, Mr. P, I'm sorry, you are not admitted in this proceeding, so you are not entitled to make any record. If Miss Macaulay wants to make a record, she can. Mr. Edwards, I can make a record right now. Mr. P, maybe we should get the judge on the phone and talk about it. Mr. Edwards, the record will be short. This is the precise reason why Ms. G wants me in this case and I'm unable to effectively represent her at this time because I'm unable to have access to the confidential information, which includes apparently the entire deposition of Miss Maxwell. But for the sake of not further delaying this, I will be outside the room. Ms. Macaulay, thank you. I would like to just wait for him to leave. That's fine. I would just like to clarify the address. It's in the process of selling the house, so while I still receive mail there, it's not my actual physical address. It's in the process of being sold. It still requires some final paperwork to be done, so just for the purposes of clarity. Do you have a new address where you will be living? I do not. For the purpose of the record, if there is something I ask you that you later remember, something else, or need to correct your testimony in some way, you can do that. Just let me know what it is and we will go back to the question and can you clarify. Of course. I just wanted to be clear there is still some paperwork pending for final release, but it's in the process of sale, but I don't have another address currently. So whilst that should still be of record, that the mail could be forwarded there, so for purposes of clarity I wanted to be clear. I appreciate that. So, Ms. Maxwell, when did you first recruit a female to work for Mr. Epstein? Mr. P, again, I object to the form and foundation of the question. You can answer the question. First of all, can you please clarify the question? I don't understand what you mean by female. I don't understand what you mean by recruit. Please be more clear and specific about what you are suggesting. Are you a female? Is that the sex that you are? I am a female. That's what I'm referring to, a female. And I'm asking you when you the very first time you recruited a female to work for Mr. Epstein. Again, I don't understand what female. I am a 54-year-old woman. I'm not making it any age of the female that you recruited to work for Mr. Epstein. Again, I was somebody who hired a number of people to work for Mr. Epstein, and hiring is one of my functions. And when is the first time you hired someone to work for Mr. Epstein, a female? As best as I can recollect, a woman the age probably of about 40 or 50 was in sometime in 1992. How long did you work for Mr. Epstein? I started working for him at some point in 1992, and the nature of my work relationship with him changed over time. So from around 2002-2003, the work lessened considerably. When did you, Mr. P, can I object for a moment? If we are talking about background, Miss Macaulay, I'm in the middle of a question. Let me finish it, and then can you interject? When you say 2002 and 2003 that the work lessened, when did you complete working for Mr. Epstein? When was the last time you were employed by him? The last date? I believe I was still helping him in a very nominal way, maybe an hour or two a year at some time, 2008 and 2009. Mr. P. So, if you are going to be talking about general background, I don't need to designate that as a confidential. So, if you want to have them come back in, that's fine. I assumed by your first question you were going into more sensitive areas. I will leave it up to you, but if this is general background, it will not be designated as confidential. Ms. Macaulay, I appreciate that. I will jump back into my other questions. Mr. P. So we will keep it as confidential. When you were first employed by him in 1992, what were you hired to do? First, I was consulting, and what I did, I helped with decorating houses and in hiring staff to help run those houses. Did your duties change over the course of 1992 to 2009? Mr. P. Object to the former foundation. My job entailed running the homes that he had, but much more importantly, most of the houses had construction. And so whilst in 1992 there was no construction project, there was construction projects that began after the time, and I was in charge not only of hiring architects, I was also in charge of all the filings or overseeing them, like a general contractor would. I also helped with hiring the architects, hiring the builders, reviewing the contracts for the builders, coordinating the building projects, coordinating how the projects would lay out, the timing of the projects and all the various materials that they would require to run a very substantial building project. That's the nature of the job I was dealing with. How old was the youngest female you ever hired to work for Jeffrey? Mr. P. Object to the former foundation. You can answer. I have not any idea exactly of the youngest adult employee that I hired for Jeffrey. When you say adult employee, did you ever hire someone that was under the age of 18? Never. Did you ever invite someone under the age of 18 to Jeffrey's home? Any of his homes? Mr. P. Object to the former foundation. Can you repeat the question? Did you ever invite anybody who was under the age of 18 to Jeffrey's homes? Mr. P. Same objections. I have a number of friends that have children and friends of mine that have kids, and in the invitation of my friends and their kids, I'm sure I may have invited some of my friends' kids to come. Anybody that is not a friend of yours, any female under the age of 18, did you invite them to come to Jeffrey's home? Mr. P. Object to the former foundation. Again, as I said, I am not aware of inviting anybody other than friends of mine who have children to the house. Did you invite Virginia G. to come to Jeffrey Epstein's home when she was under the age of 18? Mr. P. Object to the former foundation. Virginia Roberts held herself out as a masseuse and invited herself to come and give a massage. My question is, did you invite Virginia Roberts when she was under the age of 18 to come to Jeffrey Epstein's home? Mr. P. Object to the former foundation. Again, Virginia Roberts was a masseuse. I'm not asking if she was a masseuse, I'm asking if you invited her to come to Jeffrey Epstein's home. Again, there would be no cause to have a conversation with Virginia unless she held herself out to be a masseuse. I'm not asking that question. I'm asking if you invited her to come to Jeffrey Epstein's home when she was under the age of 18. Again, I repeat, she was a masseuse, and in the form and as my job, I was to have people who he wanted for various things, including massage. She came as a masseuse. So you invited her to his home to come to give a massage, is that correct? Mr. P. Object to the former foundation. Mistakes the witness's testimony. Again, I did not invite Virginia Roberts. She came as a masseuse. She who invited her to come as a masseuse, she just showed up at the front door. Mr. P. Object to the former foundation. Ms. Roberts, Held herself out. I'm not asking how she held herself out. I'm asking how she arrived at the home. Did you meet her and invite her to come to the home, or how did she arrive there? Mr. P. Object to the form foundation. Ms. Roberts held her to be a masseuse, and her mother drove her to the house. When did you first meet Virginia Roberts? I don't have a recollection of the first meeting. Do you recall meeting her at Mar-a-Lago? Like I said, I don't have a recollection of meeting Ms. Roberts. So you recall Ms. Roberts being brought to the home by her mother. Is that your testimony? That is my testimony. And that is the first time you met her. Like I said, I don't recall meeting her for the first time. I do remember her mother bringing her to the house. Are you a member at Mar-a-Lago? No. Have you visited Mar-a-Lago? Yes. Did you visit Mar-a-Lago in the year 2000? I'm pretty sure I did. When Ms. Roberts arrived at the home with her mother, what happened? I spoke to her mother outside of the house, and what I don't recall is exactly what happened because I was talking to her mother she was in the house. Did you introduce Ms. Roberts to Jeffrey Epstein? I don't recall how she actually met Mr. Epstein. As I said, I spoke to her mother the entire time outside the house. Did you walk Ms. Roberts up to the upstairs location at the Palm Beach house to meet Mr. Epstein? Mr. P. Object to the form foundation. You can answer. I just explained. I spent the entire time talking to Virginia's mother outside the home, so the answer to the question is no. No, did you not walk her up and introduce her to Mr. Epstein? I just said no. Did you participate in a massage this first time when she first came to the home and you were speaking with her mother? She was in the home, is that correct? You brought her into the home. Mr. P. Object to the form foundation. I will repeat again, I was standing outside with her mother, so very difficult for me to do anything else at that time, so no, I did not take her upstairs. Did you participate? Virginia lied 100% about absolutely everything that took place in that first meeting. She has lied repeatedly, often, and is just an awful fantasist. So, very difficult for anything to take place that she repeated because I was with her mother the entire time. So, did you give a massage with Virginia Roberts and Mr. Epstein during the first time Virginia Roberts was at the West Palm Beach house? Mr. P. Object to the form foundation. Yes or no? No. Have you ever given a massage with Virginia Roberts in the room and Jeffrey Epstein? Mr. P. Object to the form foundation. No. Have you ever given Jeffrey Epstein a massage? Mr. P. Object to the form foundation. And I'm going to instruct you not to answer that question. I don't have any problem with you asking questions about what the subject matter of this lawsuit is, which would be, as you've termed it, sexual trafficking of Ms. Roberts. To the extent you are asking for information relating to any consensual adult interaction between my client and Mr. Epstein, I'm going to instruct her not to answer because it's not part of this litigation and it is her private, confidential information, not subject to this deposition. You can instruct her not to answer, that is your right, but I will bring her back for another deposition because it is part of the subject matter of this litigation, so she should be answering these questions. This is civil litigation's depositions and she should be responsible for answering these questions. Mr. P, I disagree, and you understand the bounds that I put on it. Ms. Macaulay, no I don't. I will continue to ask my questions and you can continue to make your objections. Did you ever participate from the time period of 1992 to 2009? Did you ever participate in a massage with Jeffrey Epstein and another female? Mr. P, objection. Do not answer that question. Again, to the extent you are asking for some sort of illegal activity as you've construed in connection with this case, I don't have any problem with you asking that question. To the extent these questions involve consensual acts between adults, frankly, they're none of your business, and I will instruct the witness not to answer. Ms. Macaulay, this case involves sexual trafficking, sexual abuse. Questions about her having interactions with other females is relevant to this case. She needs to answer these questions. Mr. P, I'm instructing her not to answer. Ms. Macaulay, then we'll be back here again. Have you ever given a massage to Mr. Epstein with a female that was under the age of 18? Can you repeat the question? Yes. Have you ever given a massage to Mr. Epstein with a female that was under the age of 18? No. Have you ever observed Mr. Epstein having a massage given by an individual, a female, who is under the age of 18? No. Have you ever observed females under the age of 18 in the presence of Jeffrey Epstein at his home? Mr. P, object to the form foundation. Again, I have friends that have children. I'm not talking about friends, I'm talking about individuals. Mr. P, I'm going to object to you interrupting the witness. She was answering your question. The question was, have you ever seen anyone, female under the age of 18, at the house? And that's the question she was answering. If you want to strike that question and ask another question, feel free, but let the witness respond, please. Ms. McCauley, I will do that. Have you ever observed a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey Epstein's home that was not a friend, a child, one of your friend's children? Again, I can't testify to that because I have no idea what you are talking about. You have no idea what I'm talking about in the sense you never observed a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey Epstein's home. That was not just a friend's children, is that correct? Mr. P, object to the form foundation. How would I possibly know how someone is when they are at his home? You are asking me to do that. I cannot possibly testify to that. As far as I'm concerned, everyone who came to his house was an adult professional person. Are you familiar with the police report that was issued in respect to the investigation in this matter? Mr. P, object to the form foundation. Are you familiar with the police report that was used in this matter? The investigation of Jeffrey Epstein has been produced as a document in this matter. I have seen a police report. Maxwell, Exhibit 1, police report marked for identification. The police report that you have in front of you, you can turn to page 28 of that report. The number is on the top at the corner. You will see some redactions in this report, Ms. Maxwell. The redacted information is redacted because it reveals the names of a minor, someone who is under the age of 18. On page 28, in the third paragraph, about halfway down, it says, blank stated she performed the massage naked. At the conclusions of this massage, Epstein paid blank $200 for the massage. He explained, I know you are not comfortable, but I will pay you if you bring some girls. He told her the younger the better. Blank stated, once tried to bring a 23-year-old to Epstein and he stated the female was too old. Have you heard Mr. Epstein use the phrase, the younger the better? I have no recollection of hearing that. Have you used the phrase in talking to blank and asking her to recruit females for Mr. Epstein, the younger the better? Mr. P, object to the form foundation of the question. First of all, can you break the question apart? Have you used the phrase, the younger the better, in speaking to blank and asking her to recruit females for Jeffrey Epstein? Mr. P, object to the form foundation. You can answer, it's yes or no. No, that's absolutely not true. On the second part of your question, I have not asked Virginia to recruit females. And the first part of your question, if you can repeat that again, the question you asked. Will you read back the question? I believe I answered the latter part of the question. The first part of the question, it's impossible for me to recall events that took place 16 years ago, but it doesn't sound like something I would say. On page 28, that same paragraph, blank was asked how many girls in total she brought to Epstein. Blank stated that she can remember, blank stated that she brought, and it's redacted there, and the victim in this case. Let me ask my question. I have a question pending right now. Are you testifying that you are unaware of any underage, under the age of 18 females coming to Jeffrey Epstein's home to perform massages? Mr. P, object to the form foundation. You need to straddle that question in a different time period. When I was there, at the time I was present, the people that gave Jeffrey, men and women who gave Jeffrey massages, were adults over the age of 18. Never in your time at any of Jeffrey Epstein's homes were you present when a female under the age of 18 was there to give Jeffrey Epstein a massage. Mr. P, object to the form foundation. First of all, as I said, when I was present, it is a yes or a no. No, it is not. You can answer the question in full, but please provide yes or no as an initial matter. I cannot answer yes or no. It's not bounded by time. It's entirely possible I could have been in a room or even in the vicinity of Palm Beach when somebody came and I would not know. How would I know when somebody was in the house? There is no way I can know. Did you stay at Jeffrey Epstein's home when you were in Palm Beach? most of the time. So how is it that you wouldn't know if there was a female in the home under the age of 18 if you were staying there? Well, first of all, when I was staying there, the house is actually quite large and I have a very busy job and I had an office with a door, so the door would be shut and I would be working. I'm not responsible for what Jeffrey does and I don't always pay attention to what happens in the house. I'm very busy. So you're testifying that you never observed a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey Epstein's West Palm Beach home. Mr. P, object to the form foundation. I already answered that question, I believe. You didn't answer my question. I did. Did you observe a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey Epstein's home in Palm Beach? Like I said, I work. I don't sit there and watch people coming in and out of the house. I cannot possibly tell you if I'm in the home that somebody was there that I did not see. I cannot comment on it. I have no idea. Did you observe females at Jeffrey Epstein's home that were laying topless in the back of the home? In other words, without a shirt on. So that's just another of Virginia's lies. So let's be clear. At the time when I was there and present, frequently at the house, it was unusual to see people without their clothes on. When you say unusual, did you observe people without their clothes at Jeffrey Epstein's home? Can I answer? Sometimes people in the privacy of a house and swimming pool. I have seen people from time to time take their top off. I have seen people from time to time do that. Very unusual. Naked people around the peoples at any frequent period of time. I have never seen. Were they under the age of 18? As I was saying, people when I was in the house were of an adult age. If there were children, friends of my family or friends that were there, they may well have been because I have nieces and nephews under the age of 18. I cannot testify to anybody else. Just another one of Virginia's many fictitious lies and stories to make this a salacious event to get interest and press. It's absolute rubbish. Were you in charge of hiring individuals to provide massages for Jeffrey Epstein? My job included hiring many people. There were 6 homes. As I sit here, I hired assistants, I hired architects, I hired decorators, I hired cooks, I hired cleaners, I hired gardeners, I hired pool people, I hired pilots, I hired all sorts of people. In the course, and a very small part of my job was, from time to time, to find adult professional massage therapists for Jeffrey. When you say adult professional massage therapists, where did you find these massage therapists? From time to time, I would visit professional spas. I would receive a massage, and if the massage was good, I would ask that man or woman if they did home visits. Did you ever hire a masseuse that was under the age of 18? Mr. P, object to the form of foundation. Did you? Again, I don't hire massage therapists, so that was not my job. You just said you did. You just said you hired massage therapists for Jeffrey Epstein. I'm asking if you hired a massage therapist who was under the age of 18. Let me correct myself. When I meant hire, I didn't mean hire in the way you are doing it. What I say is that I went to spas and I met people, and if they did home visits, Jeffrey would then in fact hire them. I'm not responsible for hiring someone, and they were not full-time, so it's not a correct characterisation. Did you ever, your term is meet, did you ever meet a person that was under the age of 18 that Jeffrey then hired as a masseuse? Mr. P, object to the form and foundation. First of all, Virginia Roberts, who you are referring to, was a masseuse aged 17. We all now know. So your story that you keep pushing out to the press, that she was a 15-year-old, you and I both know was a lie, correct? You are not asking my question. You and I both know that was a lie, correct? You are not answering my question. I'm asking you whether you ever met a female under the age of 18 that Jeffrey then hired as a masseuse. Mr. P, object to the form and foundation. The only person I can talk about who clearly was a massage, age 17, a masseuse, was Virginia. Did you meet her and then introduce her to Jeffrey? I don't know. I already testified. I don't recall meeting her. Maxwell, Exhibit 2, email marked for identification. So I'm showing you a document that we have marked as Maxwell Exhibit 2. It's a document you produced in this matter labelled Confidential GM 00109. It's dated Sunday, June the 12th, 2011. It's from Jeffrey Epstein to you. If you can turn to page 4, can you turn to the first page, the cover page initially, which is 00109. If you look under the timestamp, it says June the 12th, 2011 at 4:12 p.m. It says blank. Is that your email address? It is. Under that it says thank you. I have it now and I'm working on the letter a little. I will send the final version tomorrow and whatever it will be factually accurate. Do you see that on page 1? I do. Then I would like you to turn to page 4, please. The second paragraph down on page 4, it states, after some thought, I recall that I first met Ms. Roberts when she was working at a premier resort, claiming to be 18 years old and a professional masseuse. Mr. P. What line are you on, counsel? Ms. Macaulay. Second paragraph down. Mr. P. I got it. Is that a statement that you wrote? It appears to be. So, does that correct your testimony that you did meet Ms. Roberts at Mar-a-Lago? Again, this was written in, when were you saying? 2011. So by 2011, Ms. Roberts had already perpetrated so many lies and stories, it's hard for me to accurately tell you today what I remember back then. As I sit here today, the testimony I give you today, I do not recollect it. Do you have a reason to say that this document that you wrote is incorrect? It's in 2011. I can't possibly tell you what I remember in 2011. Are you questioning that this document is incorrect? This document, this email that you wrote. I wrote an email. I was trying to be accurate, so you know, with all the rubbish that you guys have put out there in the press that I read. Maybe in the moment I wrote it, a memory came to me that I don't know. But as I sit here today, and the testimony I gave you today is, I don't recollect it. Does this refresh your recollection that you recalled meeting Ms. Roberts at Mar-a-Lago? It does not. So your testimony today is that you don't remember meeting Ms. Roberts at Mar-a-Lago. I do not. I just want to clarify, when you read so much stuff and so much rubbish that comes out from Virginia Roberts, you don't know what's up and down. At the time I wrote this, I believe I had a memory, but as I sit here today, I do not. Ms. Maxwell, when did you first meet blank? Mr. P. Object to the form of foundation. I have no idea when I met her. Do you know how old she was when you met her? I have no idea how old she was when I met her. Is it possible she was 13 years old when you first met her? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. Blank, blank, blank. May have been in the house when Jeffrey was in the house. I have no idea how old she was. I understand blank, blank. I'm asking if blank was 13 years old when you first met her. I have no idea. Was she under 18 when you first met her? I have no idea how old she was when I first met her. Did she look like a child when you first met her? I don't remember what she looked like at the time she was in the house. How many years have you known her? I can only recall the last time I saw her. When was the first time you met her? Again, I just told you I don't recall the first time I met her. Did blank travel with you on Jeffrey's planes? I wouldn't remember if blank was on the plane or not. Did you ever have sex with blank blank? No. Did you ever observe Jeffrey having sex with blank? No. Were you aware that Jeffrey was having sexual contact with blank when she was 13 years old? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. I would be very shocked and surprised if that were true. Were you in the house when blank blank was in the house in a private area with Jeffrey Epstein? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. Can you repeat the question? Were you ever in the Palm Beach house when Jeffrey Epstein was in the house with blank? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. I've already testified that I have met her and that she was there, blank, blank. blank. I don't understand what your question is asking. So you have never seen blank. Mr. P, object to the form of foundation. Is that your testimony? I already said I don't recall all the times I've seen her, and I have no memory of that. Have you ever seen blank in the house with Jeffrey Epstein, blank blank? Mr. P, object to the form of foundation. I just told you I don't recall seeing blank. Were you ever involved in an orgy with blank? No, absolutely not. Can you tell me, do you know an individual by the name of blank? I do. How did you meet blank? At some point, she was a friend of Jeffrey's, and I recall meeting her at some point. Did you hire her? First of all, I don't hire girls like that, so let's be clear. I already testified to that, and I have no idea what you are referring to. When you say girls like that, what do you mean? I hire people who are professional at the house. You are asking if I hired somebody to do what? I don't know what you are talking about. I hired people to work in the homes. What was Nadia M doing? Mr. P, object to the form of foundation. I have no idea what Nadia M was doing. I didn't hire her, and I don't know what you are referring to. You met Nadia M. I testified I did. Did she work for Jeffrey Epstein? I have no idea what she did. Have you flown on planes with Nadia M? I don't recollect. I don't know if I did. How many times have you flown on Jeffrey Epstein's planes? Too many times. More than 300? I really couldn't tell you how many. More than 400? Again, I said I cannot tell you how many. A lot. How many times with blank blank? I already testified. I have no idea. How old was blank when she first became involved with Jeffrey? I have no idea. Was she 14? Mr. P, object to the form of foundation. I have no idea. Did she look like a child the first time you met her? Mr. P, object to the form of foundation, asked and answered. Did she look like a child the first time you met blank? I don't know what you mean if she looked like a child. Did she look like she was under the age of 18? No. Did she look like she was under the age of 16? I just testified. First of all, I couldn't tell you how old she was. She didn't look like a child. Leave it at that. Did you know that she was a child? Mr. P, object to the form of foundation. I just answered I did not know how old she was, and she looked like an adult. In the times that you travelled with her on Jeffrey Epstein's planes, did you ever ask her how old she was? Mr. P, object to the form of foundation. Assumes facts not in evidence. The witness already testified she doesn't remember. You can answer that question. Did you ever ask her on the many flights you were with her, on the many times you were with her at the house? First of all, I don't know. I was on many flights with her. You are making stories up again as usual. And secondly, if I was on a flight with her, there would not be any reason why I would ask her how old she was. You don't recollect having any conversation with her about her age. I already testified to that. Do you know what blank was hired to do for Jeffrey? I already testified I didn't know she was hired, and I don't know that she did anything. I don't know how to answer that question. Was blank at the house, the Palm Beach house, when you were present at that house? Mr. P, object to the form of foundation. I have no recollection of her being at the house at the same time as me. When did you first meet blank blank? I already told you I don't recall. Do you recall anything about blank blank? That she was tall and blonde? Do you recall blank interacting with other females at the house? No, I do not. Did you arrange to get a visa for blank to come into this country? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. Absolutely not. Did Jeffrey arrange for a visa for blank? Mr. P. You need to give a break so I can interpose an objection. Object to the form and foundation. You can answer. What was the question? Did Jeffrey arrange for a visa for blank? I don't know what Jeffrey did. I cannot testify what Jeffrey did. Was blank involved in sex with Jeffrey and other girls? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. Girls under the age of 18. Mr. P. Same objection. I have no idea. Was blank involved with sex with Jeffrey and girls over the age of 18? Mr. P. Same objection. I have no idea. Did blank recruit other girls for sex with Jeffrey? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. I have no idea. Do you still talk to blank? No. Blank? I have no idea. Blank, 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 blank? I have no idea. Are you a pilot? I am. Have you flown with blank? I have. Have you flown with blank blank? What do you mean flown? Have you been on a plane with her? I already testified I don't recall having her on a plane with me. Do you know blank? I do. When did you first meet her? I don't recall exact dates. Did you meet her with the purpose of hiring her to work for Jeffrey or having Jeffrey hire her? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. No. What was her relationship with Jeffrey? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. I don't know exactly the nature of her relationship, but she worked for him. What did she do? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. At the time when was with him, I believe she travelled with him and helped with his travel arrangements. Did she bring girls to the house to give massages to Jeffrey? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. I don't know what blank did. So you never observed blank bringing girls to the home to give massages to Jeffrey? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. I don't understand the question. What did you mean bring? Did you ever observe blank inviting, bringing, walking anyone into the home to give a massage for Jeffrey? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. I don't recollect anything like that. Are you aware that blank was a co-conspirator named as a co-conspirator in the case involving Jeffrey Epstein? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation and also calls for a legal conclusion. Ms. Macaulay. I'm just asking if she is aware of that. I am aware. Who played blank? I have no idea. Did you ever arrange payment for any of the employees at the home? Mr. P. Object to the form. What do you mean by arrange? Were you ever in charge or responsible for paying individuals at the home that worked there? People had salaries and they were paid by the office. Did you ever pay any individual? Did you ever hand an individual cash for work they performed? Mr. P. Object to the form. Can you be more specific about what you are asking me? Did you ever hand any individual who was working at the home cash as a payment for something that they performed at the home? Mr. P. Object to the form. To the best of my recollection, there were very few times when I would leave some cash for people for work performed. And what type of work was being performed where you would be doing this? If I left cash for the pool guy, I would have left potentially some cash for the gardener, potentially for exercise instructors, and sometimes for massage therapy. How much were the massage therapists paid? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. They get paid between $100 and $200. Did it vary based on what sexual acts they performed? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. No. It varied depending how much time. Some massage therapists charge more and some charge less. Did the massage therapists that were hired to come to the home perform sexual acts for Jeffrey Epstein? Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. What are you asking me? I'm asking if the massage therapists... Are you asking me about underage girls? I'm asking in general. Did any of the massage therapists in the home... Are you asking if they were paid for sexual acts? I'm asking if they performed sexual acts. Mr. P. Object to the form and foundation. Did any of the massage therapists who were at the home perform sexual acts for Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know what you mean by sexual acts. Did any of the massage therapists who were working at the home perform sexual acts, including touching the breasts, touching the vaginal area, being touched while Jeffrey is masturbating, having intercourse, any of those things? Mr. P. Objection. Form and foundation. To the extent any of this is asking for you to your knowledge any consensual sex act that may or may not have involved you, I'm instructing you not to answer the question. I'm not asking about consensual sex acts. I'm asking whether any of the massage therapists performed sexual acts for Mr. Epstein, as I have just described. I have never seen anybody have sexual intercourse with Jeffrey, ever. I'm not asking about sexual intercourse. I'm asking about any sexual act. Touching of the breast. Did you ever see? Can you read back the question? I'm not addressing any questions about consensual adult sex. If you want to talk about the subject matter, which is defamation and lying, Virginia Roberts, that you and Virginia Roberts are participating in, perpetrating her lies, I'm happy to address those. I never saw any inappropriate underage activities with Jeffrey, ever. I'm not asking about underage, I'm asking about whether any of the masseuses that were at the home performed sexual acts for Jeffrey Epstein. I've just answered the question. No, you haven't. I have. No, you haven't. Yes, I have. You are refusing to answer the question. Let's move on. I'm in charge of the deposition. I say when we move on and when we don't. You are here to respond to my questions. If you are refusing to answer, the court will bring you back for another deposition to answer these questions. Do you understand that? Mr. P. You don't need to threaten the witness. Ms. McCauley, I'm not threatening her. I'm making sure the record is clear. Mr. P. Certainly, can you reply to have someone come back and the court may or may not have her come back again? Again, she is not answering questions that relate to adult consent, sex acts, period. And that's the instruction, and we can take it up with the court. Ms. Maxwell, are you aware of any sexual acts with masseuses and Jeffrey Epstein that were non-consensual? No. How do you know that? All the time that I've been in the house, I have never seen, heard, nor witnessed, nor have reported to me that any activities took place, that people were in distress, either reported to me by the staff or anyone else. I base my answer based on that. Are you familiar with a person by the name of blank? I am. Has blank given a statement to police about you performing sexual acts on her? I have not heard that. Okay, that's the end of part 1 of the Ghislaine Maxwell deposition. Join me for part 2 and like and subscribe my channel, leave any comments, and yeah, I will catch you for the next video.